He's referring to the case of Liam Ramos, who was abandoned by his illegal alien criminal father in the snow and then was taken to a detention center with his father after he was going to be left with no one to take custody of him. But yet Kerr is saying that ICE agents are snatching 5-year-olds off the streets. You say this is why you stopped watching the NBA years ago. What are your responses to his latest comments?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we've been through this already. They made the NBA particularly, but most sports, baseball, actually, MLB has stayed out of it a little bit more. Certainly it has affected the NBA and definitely the NFL and some of the other ones, where everything has become hyper-politicized. You know, sports is done as an escape. That's why you watch sports. That's why you play sports. As a matter of fact, right after I take my microphone off here, I'm going to play basketball, which I still do, but I don't watch basketball anymore because of this. I don't like turning on the NBA and TNT and hearing that I'm a racist, or, you know, the years of the BLM stuff, or then being lectured by these guys about COVID. But in the case of Steve Kerr, this is a guy who won 5 championships as a player, 4 as a coach. He's actually the type of person that you would want to hear talk about basketball and that you might learn something from. And he, you know, won several 3-point championships. I mean, I can give you all his stats and all that stuff. But instead, he has chosen to use his press conferences to become hyper partisan. And I would say in basketball lingo, he's actually kind of tearing the Achilles of the league. You know, the last thing you want is an Achilles injury if you're a basketball player. But that's what he's doing to the league, because when I tweeted that out this morning, I got hundreds of responses from people saying, I don't watch anymore because I've had it with this stuff. So it's not just that he's making basketball press conferences political. As you pointed out, in this specific case, he's either lying or unwittingly telling something that's not true, which is that the father, who was illegal, abandoned the kid. Oh, and by the way, I mean, that was the other thing he lied about, which was that we are getting rid of criminal illegals. Right. Donald Trump just gave a press conference a couple of days ago showing pictures of criminals, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, etc.
Yeah, and he never wants to talk about the victims, of course, of those crimes. It's interesting that he finds time to talk about, you know, defending the criminals, going after the law enforcement that's trying to get them out of communities to keep people safe. As you mentioned, an Achilles injury is very serious, so I hope the NBA takes note of that. But let's move on to Bruce Springsteen. He just released a new song called "The Streets of Minneapolis." He says it's in memory of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. It seems to me like it's 2020 all over again. This is Defund the Police 2.0, and you're having Hollywood show up in their cozy ivory towers lecturing the rest of the people who actually deal with the consequences of their positions, singing songs and trying to claim the moral high ground.
Well, Katie, first I should tell you, I am from Long Island. So if you are from Long Island, you're a Billy Joel guy. And if you're from Jersey, you're a Springsteen guy. So I'm not huge on Springsteen in the first place. However, again, in some sense, it's the same story as the Kerr story. You're a musician. Look, I get it. You're an artist. You should sing what comes from your heart and you should create true art. But that's not what these guys are doing anymore. It's like Bruce Springsteen, you know, you've got, God knows how much money this guy's got, tens and tens of millions of dollars. I have no doubt he travels everywhere with more security than you and I could ever dream of, and lives in a bigger mansion than you and I will ever dream of or live in or anything else. And it's like, why is he so upset that the federal government is defending the borders again? I mean, I guess he's a Democrat donor. I wonder if he ever said anything to Barack Obama about the more than 900,000 people that Obama deported. Trump's only up to 700,000 people so far. I'm pretty sure there was no Springsteen song about that. So this is just consistent with people who have decided to put party politics above truth. And at the end of the day, if you're an artist, you know, as Laura Ingraham said, shut up and dribble. So that's the basketball version of it. But if you're an artist, shut up and sing. You know, Springsteen, I'm going to imagine you've got some conservative. It's not even conservative. I'm going to guess you've got some audience. That's right, some decent Americans, right? Yeah. You sang a song about being born in the USA. Some of the people who dig that song are probably not thrilled with you right now and would be less inclined to go to your concerts. So if you don't care about anything else, care about your bottom line, man.
But as I saw you posted on X, you know, these people are the same ones who would never take in illegal immigrants into their own homes. They just expect everyone else to deal with the consequences of an open border. But I can't let you go without talking to you about Greenland, of course. And still in the music industry, Neil Young is offering Greenland free access to his music over Trump stress. Do you think this is going to calm nerves, or is this just punishment for the Greenlanders?
Wait, Katie, maybe I'm misunderstanding the story. Am I to believe that people have been paying for Neil Neil's songs, and somehow they're going to be free. Who's paying for music these days? I mean, I don't even know. I don't even understand what that means. But okay, putting that aside, like it's just more silly nonsense. Neil, you were great, man. You're a dinosaur now, but that's okay. I like old music. But come on, man, just stop. Again, we're not taking Greenland in some like evil imperial way. If anything, we are going to defend Greenland from Iranian and Russian, from moves that they are going to make onto that land. And Canada also should be thanking us. So I don't know, maybe he should be giving some music to Canada. I don't know, what do they have out of Canada? Anybody big out of Canada?
These days, I'm not sure. Drake, I think, is Canadian. So.
Oh.
Also,
I like Frank Sinatra.
Basketball. Frank Sinatra. All right. Well, hopefully we won't be punished with any more of these songs, but I think that I'm probably wrong about that. Dave Rubin, great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you, Katie.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.